And hello everybody, welcome back to Tousi TV, guys. I am Dan, your host, and today we've got an action-packed live stream for you this morning, as the main subject we're going to be discussing is Axel Rudakubana's father's role in this attack. We're going to be discussing that, of course, in detail. We've also got a lot of other things to go over and discuss, as of course Keir Starmer has came out and released a public statement, took questions from the media. We're going to be discussing all of that, and yeah, as stated, the main subject of today's video, Axel Rudakubana's father's role. But as always, guys, I'd like to remind you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and get involved in the live chat. You really do make these live streams, and we're going to be taking questions and chats a bit later on in today's live stream. So let's discuss first and foremost Keir Starmer's statement. This has been much anticipated for a while now. And of course, everybody's been waiting to hear this. But again, he didn't really give us too much in terms of, he kind of defended his actions after being blasted for a quote-unquote cover-up. But he did admit to knowing the details when this actually happened. So as stated, guys, he did say that he knew about the details and said that there is going to be a public inquiry into the matter. He also, again, as I stated, defended his actions and said that he didn't want to put anything in the way of jeopardizing this trial. He did gaslight a lot. He quite used the journalists as somebody who was like, just like you, I knew it was illegal to sort of jeopardize this trial. And yeah, as stated, kind of doubled down on this fact and said, spoke about the police services and all of that. He took a few questions towards the end. He was obviously asked about the, quote unquote, far right situation. And again, sort of doubled down on his words with regard to that and said that it was them who incited the sort of violence, etc., etc. And you know what? He did cover his own back, of course. But I do believe the worst part of this speech, guys, was that he knew about the terrorism early on and actually continued to say that, again, just tried to say that he didn't really, or make out that he didn't know anything about it. This guy was 3 times referred. He was also dubbed in the media as a Welsh choir boy, essentially, a Welsh Christian, which he knew at the time when he was laying those reeves down at the site of where the attack happened. He knew all along with regard to the details, the fine details, and the chaos that it was going to be causing a bit later on in this matter. So again, a lot of people were outraged after his statement. And again, I don't think that the statement that he gave is necessarily going to give all of the answers to the British public. But then, of course, I do look towards Prime Minister's questions, of course, tomorrow and, put accountability on the parliamentarians to demand further questions. Sort of Nigel Farage and the Reform Party will probably ask those tricky questions. But I'm hoping to see more and hear more about this because, again, I don't think the British public have got all of the answers that they are requiring at this moment in time. So a public inquiry, of course, is going to be going ahead. Yvette Cooper announced that yesterday. And that's kind of all of the details that we have from Keir Starmer's side as of yet. However, I do feel that this is going to be burning on for a lot longer, and we'll have to see. But guys, in today's live stream, I wanted to discuss a little bit more with regard to his father's role. As of course, it has been stated that his father knew about an attack that he was potentially planning weeks prior and of course actually stopped him. But what we want to try and dig into the details of trying to find out, did his father know about this potential attack as well? And of course, we're going to be discussing about his links to Rwanda, his father's links to the Rwanda genocide, his family's links to the Rwanda genocide. So yeah, as stated, quite a lot to discuss on this matter. So I just want to get a couple of quotes up, of course, with regard to this. And as you can see here, we have a report, and it was stating that his father actually stopped Axel from carrying out an attack at his former school a week before the Southport incident. Of course, he booked a taxi under the name Simon to Range High School on what was the last day of term, but his father ran out of the house to intervene. On the day of the Southport attack on the 29th of July, he left his home before ordering a taxi again under the same name to take him to the dance class where he carried out those heinous murders. Now, with regard to this, he knew that Axel was actually trying to plan something, but again didn't. He knew he was going to be planning something, but why did his father not alert the authorities or do something about it? Did he know anything about this in particular Southport incident? Was there something that he knew that could have maybe prevented the situation from actually happening if he did stop him from, going to his old high school on the last day of term a week prior? It's all these questions that I think all of us want to try and understand in this case. Did his father have any understanding of the Southport incident? I mean, look, it's crazy the amount of information that's actually coming out at this moment in time with regard to his past, his family's past as well. And that's what we're going to be moving on to now in terms of the Rwanda sort of genocide. And the thing with Axel, it's also now being revealed by many sources that, of course, Axel did have. He was very much his father and his family, of course, did flee after the Rwandan genocide, an event that, of course, fascinated Axel Rudakubana. Again, he was quoted to actually be obsessed with genocide. One official was quoted as saying adding that subject was all he wanted to talk about. Documents relating to the atrocity were found in his family's home. So how much more do we want to know from on that behalf? Again, obsessed with the genocide. In terms of the other stuff, he also had connections to the genocide in Rwanda through his parents, who were both Tutsi and were forced to flee the country following the outbreak of mass killings by the Hutu-dominated regime. His taxi driver father, Alphonse, is thought to have fought with the Rwandan Patriotic Army, an armed force that fought the Hutu government and eventually brought end to the murders. The 49-year-old is said to have been an officer in the RPA, which invaded from nearby Rwanda. The Rwandan genocide saw an estimated 1 million people shot, beaten, or hacked to death with machetes during just over 100 days of violence that broke out in the East African nation in 1994. The killings were sparked by the death of the Hutu president, whose plane was shot down on the night of April 6th, triggering a rampage by Hutu extremists and in the militia. So, again, we know that he, of course, does have links to this, and again, fascinated by it. I just can't get over in terms of what the authorities actually knew. And again, I know Tousi discussed it yesterday in yesterday's live streams, but of course, three times referred to the sort of counter-terrorism, and they knew he was insane, but not insane enough to, of course, be put on some sort of watch list and actually be monitored. But it seems to me that this thing was simply and could have been prevented if the things had been in place. Of course, Keir Starmer did admit that earlier on today. But again, did his father play more of a role than we actually know? Did he actually know about this attack that was going to happen? There's so many unanswered questions that I really want to get to the bottom of and find out what has actually gone on here. Now, guys, I'm going to take a few comments. I can see them all pouring in, so do let me take them. I'm going to let the chat clear up a little bit. But let's get into it, guys. We've, of course, got a super chat, so we're going to see what that says quickly. There we go. Can I get this one up? There we go. So today, Terence says the UAE has officially designated 8 organisations in the UK as an Islamist terrorist organisation entities, but Keir Starmer won't. Firstly, thank you so much for that £5 super chat. And of course, yeah, I've heard about this many, many times, and I've seen a lot about it come out. And that's something that needs to be looked at. Of course it does. I heard, yeah, as I said, I read about that. And the UAE actually, for I know people may have opinions on Islamic countries, but in terms of the UAE, they have all of this sort of stuff cracked down. And a lot of leaders out of the UAE have actually came out multiple times. They don't take terrorism, extremism, all of these kind of things. They take it very, very seriously and get rid of the people that entice it or on their sort of watch lists, and maybe that's a lesson that the UK could actually learn. But the UAE do a very good job at alerting and asking and alerting other nations. I think the same was with the Saudi Arabia with the German attacker at Magdeburg. They of course alerted him and were trying to extradite him as well, and you know, this situation is something that's always going to be falling on deaf ears. But thank you so much for that super chat. Let's go to Sharon Lineker. She says Starmer knew Axel, and there's a picture of them both shaking hands and both wearing a suit with a red rosette on. I haven't seen that, so I can't confirm that picture. However, I would like to see it if you can send it across to Tousi. But yeah, I've not seen that, so I can't confirm that picture. Let's have a little look more here. Angela Haynes says the parents' lives will never be the same again. I mean, I've not really seen any pictures or anything about the parents since. We just know the information on their backstory. And to be fair, the thing I'm more interested on here, as we're digging into this one, is if his father actually played a role. You know, as stated, as we covered in today's story, and he knew about an attack that was going to happen a week prior. He knew his son was obviously insane. So why did he not alert the correct authorities? And did he know about the attack that was going to be carried out on the 29th of July, especially due to the taxi company situation and the way that he was able to prevent it under the name of Simon? Mickey, who is a member, says Mayor doesn't get up before midday. I mean, actually, to be fair to Mayor, he's actually working very, very hard behind the scenes in the morning. He's got so much planned for today. He does work very, very hard, to be fair. He works very, very hard. So we are covering the morning show, guys. Hope you don't mind. But he's got a lot coming up today for you guys as well. So make sure you tune in. And if you haven't already got a notification bell on, make sure you get it on, because there's a lot of shows on Tousi TV today with Mayor actually presenting also. Be Gone Labour. I like this one, to be fair. If you know me, guys, from my channel, you know we are massive anti-Labour. I love your name, and I love that statement, Starmer out. Again, what did you guys make of Starmer's speech today? What did you make of his announcement today? Did you buy it? Have you still got more questions? Ask me questions in the chat what you would be asking Keir Starmer tomorrow at Prime Minister's Questions if you were in the House of Commons. Give me some questions. What would you be asking him? What should the questions be asked of Keir Starmer? Of course, we had 4 or 5 media questions today following his statement. What would you be asking if you were in the House of Commons tomorrow and you were able to ask any question to Keir Starmer with regard to this incident? Let's take... Oh, we've got some members here, guys. Big shout out to the members. Elena says that was an awful movie, The Truth. That was anything to do it. Let's have a little look here. Oh, here we go. Another member. Dawn and Doodle says Starmer's statement was an oxymoron. Meow says, no, it was dreadful as it's expected. Again, he came out and defended himself. He's always gaslighting. I always feel when Keir Starmer speaks, he's always gaslighting. Not taking responsibility for things. He's always just saying this. And he tried to get the journalist perspective. He was always saying, yes, I knew all of this, like the journalists knew. But under the law, I couldn't have said anything. But I always think of that really, really harrowing photo of when he's walking in Southport with the wreaths of flowers and laying them down. And at that moment in time, he knew exactly what this guy was all about. He knew every single detail and kept them away. There was a timeline, there was a moment, there was a gap that could have released this information before he was actually charged. But again, this didn't happen. And to be fair, I mean, if someone, again, I don't know too much about the contempt of court law, and probably I should know a little bit more about it. However, I always don't know how this would necessarily, if someone killed someone in cold blood, how it would necessarily jeopardize a court hearing or a sentencing or a trial if he, of course, was caught in cold blood. I just don't get that. How would he then be able to walk free if you discussed or released details that he was into terrorist activity or was not a Welsh choir boy? Because surely if you said he was a Welsh Christian choir boy, then surely that's releasing details as well, isn't it? But that's gaslighting him and pushing a different narrative down your throat. But if you use the other narrative, which was the truth, then again, it's really something that I can't get my head around. Let me try and take some of these comments, guys, that you were saying. Has anyone got anything that was said? Sarah just simply says, I ask him, what bloody hell do you do? Put your P45 in the post. I mean, there's a lot of people calling for his resignation, of course. Even a lot of MPs, of course, on the opposition as well, calling for him to resign. We've seen that, and that's probably going to continue during this week as well. Do you guys agree with Mikey's comment? Axel was being treated better than Tommy. Let me know your thoughts on that one down there in the comments. Didn't we know the names? That's true. That's true. That was, yeah, the details were out straight away following that. I mean, it was straight away. I mean, it was caught on camera as well, though, to be fair. Angela Haynes says 4 years with Starmer is far too long. Do you think he will stay for 4 years? That's the question. Sorry, just trying to read the comments. They're coming in very, very quick. Here we go. Donkey says if he was in House of Commons tomorrow, he would say, I would ask why wasn't there terrorism charges? Still taking some more comments, guys. Free the political peers. Did Starmer represent his father as a human rights lawyer? I've seen this come up before. I've seen many theories of this. But I think, to be fair to Starmer, and you don't ever find me standing up for Keir Starmer much, but in terms of the information that's available in the public domain, that wasn't the case. But, I mean, you can search who he kind of represented, and I think there was a big expose on this, and it actually was proved that he didn't represent. But again, who knows? That's just of my knowledge and from what I've seen in terms of information. But again, if there's anything else on that, then I'll come back to you on it. And then Tilly Sanders says, free all political prisoners. And you know what? I think that's absolutely true. Everything that happened over the summer, those people should, of course, be released. And again, I'm waiting for Keir Starmer's being questioned on this a little bit later on in terms of Prime Minister's questions. But I think that's a beautiful statement there to sign off on. And as I said, Tilly Sanders says free all political prisoners, and I couldn't agree more. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As stated, my second show here on Tousi TV. Plenty to be coming for later on today. Tousi, of course, himself will be back presenting some more shows later on today. So stick around, notification bell on, and all that kind of good stuff. But thank you for being patient with me on my second show, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and guys, guess what? We are the media.